Hello, Maryland. This is Commissioner Ed Rothstein from Carroll County, and you're tuned in to the Conduit Street Podcast, your compass for navigating Maryland's policy and political landscape.
Hello and welcome to the Conduit Street Podcast. This is Dom, your favorite member of the policy team, taking over the mic today. Joining me in the host's chair, we have Shantelle, Malcolm-Lym, hands down one of the best comms people ever. Hello, Shantelle.
Hi, Doms. Thanks for that stellar introduction.
Happy to have you. We also have two guests from one of our top 24 favorite counties, Queen Anne's. Woo woo! We have Beth Malasky, Queen Anne's County Public Information Manager. Hello, Beth. Please tell me I said your last name right.
Oh, you butchered it. It's Malasky.
Malasky. Oh, my God. And we have Sara Shelley, co-founder, president, and board member of Plastic Free Queen Anne's County. Hello, Sara.
Hello, Dom.
So I want to ask a question because it rhymes in my head. Is it Plastic Free QAC or is it Plastic Free Queen Anne's County?
Well, it's kind of both.
Okay.
We go by the shortened version, QAC, yes. But for listeners who aren't familiar sometimes with what QAC stands for, we spell it out.
Ah, got you. So just letting everybody know who's listening, we're going to say QAC from now on. It means Queen Anne's County. So Beth, I hear that QAC is piloting this incredible program that has to do with both plastic and recycling. Now, before we get into that, I want to hear a little bit more about QAC in general. Where is it? What's it known for? Give us some dining tips. Give our listeners a little bit of color.
Okay, thanks. We really are the gateway to the Eastern Shore. If you're heading towards Ocean City, which I know most of you are in the summertime, as soon as you cross the Bay Bridge, we are the first county that you encounter on the Eastern Shore. But our border goes all the way up to Delaware. But besides that, we're a little more concentrated around close to the Bay Bridge, but we really are known for our agriculture. We have over 208,000 acres that are zoned as ag in the county. And we're really proud of the fact that 43% of that has been preserved right now. And we're working towards even a higher number. We really have a low cost of living compared to our Western Shore neighbors, which means we have a lot of commuters because we're in commuting distance to the Baltimore metropolitan region. But we have the third lowest property tax rate out of all 24 jurisdictions. Also known for our commercial fishing industry and our amazing seafood. So if you've seen any of our ads in the last year for our crabs and crushes, we love it when you come over to try some crabs and crushes over in Queen Anne's County. But we also have a really nice small town feel where there's only about 50,000 residents here. So we're a small county. As far as dining goes, everybody comes here from out of town. They want to try the seafood. And we have so many great options on Kent Island and the Kent Narrows area. But we also have a couple of Main Street programs in historic Stevensville and the town of Centerville that have some great options as well.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to the great seafood out there in Kent Narrows, So, thanks for that. Sara, tell us about Plastic Free QAC. Who are you? What do you do?
We moved to Queen Anne's County in 2017, thinking we'd commute back to the metro area during the week, back and forth. And I loved it so much, I never went back. So we've been a full-time resident since early 2018, which was about the time that Plastic Free QAC was formed. And we're an all-volunteer nonprofit organization that's been working to reduce single-use plastic in Queen Anne's County since 2018. Through advocacy, education, and forming community partnerships, we've continued to accomplish our mission by collaborating with QAC officials, local businesses, and providing residents opportunities to volunteer. Yeah, so since our beginnings, I can go on if you'd like to hear more.
Sure. Yeah, tell us. That's what we're here for.
We continue to conduct monthly road cleanups, beach cleanups. We offer both virtual and in-person presentations and participate in community engagement events, all aimed to raise awareness about the health and environmental hazards of single-use plastic. But I'm here today to talk about the boat shrink wrap recycling campaign, which we'll get to in a few minutes. But I'd be glad to share, if there's time, two other collaborative initiatives that we've worked with the county on, if you like.
Yeah, give us a little taste of how you're partnering with some of our local government friends. Definitely.
Sure, good. So our very first partnership in Queen Anne's County was in 2020, right smack in the middle of COVID. And at the time, even though the country was more or less in lockdown, we continued to offer monthly social distancing cleanups, and with our masks and everything. And
so wait, how did that look, a social distancing? Like you have to stay 6 feet apart and then there's your trash bag? You can wave towards your volunteers?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is my garbage. You stay there. This is my garbage. Your garbage is over there. Your garbage is in the other direction. That's how it went.
So it was fun. People needed to get out. People needed the fresh air.
Oh, yeah.
So, but what we noticed at that time was an inordinate amount of discarded fishing line that was being collected, especially at, the favorite fishing spots. And fishing line, for those who aren't aware, fishing line, if it's not discarded responsibly, can then easily end up entangling birds and wildlife.
Right.
So I reached out to the Queen Anne's County Public Landing Supervisor at that time, James Wood, within a very short time, we launched the Reel In and Recycle initiative. I was able to contact a recycler for fishing line, Berkeley Fishing Line. It's one of the largest manufacturers of fishing line in the country. And they're located in Spirit Lake, Iowa. And they provided us with prepaid boxes, free of charge, that we could put the discarded fishing line into and send it back to them for recycling. And the county agreed to install recycling fishing line receptacles at all the boat landings throughout the county. And then additionally, we had these very cool displays that included that prepaid box that went to each of the bait and tackle stores in the county. So we had involvement from both businesses, the county. It was very wonderful. And
that's how I met you.
Yes, and that's where I met Beth. And we're now, because our team of 3, we were started by 3 women. And now we're 15, not all women, but we're 15 on our team now. We have more more folks to help with these kinds of projects. So we're looping back around to sort of revisit the fishing line initiative, make sure that everything's still operating smoothly. So that's one. The second is you might have heard that the city of Centerville recently passed a bring your own bag ban ordinance in July of 2023. And Plastic Free was responsible for introducing the need for this piece of legislation to our town council president, Steve Klein.
Now, Sarah, really quick, when you say a bring your own plastic bag ban, you're banning the non-renewable plastic bags, and you now have to bring your own kind of reusable bag.
Yes. So what it is it's a ban on single-use plastic bags.
That's a much more eloquent way to put it. Single-use.
Yes,
single-use.
Sorry, it came out the wrong way. So yes, it's all about promoting bringing your own bag. Yes. So we don't like to use the word ban unless we really have to. Bag ban has connotations, but we flip that and say, why not bring your own bag? And we've been responsible for handing out reusable bags back since 2019.
I have a trunk full of them, of all sorts of colors from every single association thing you go to. Tons.
Same. Yes. I love collecting them.
Yes.
It's bad.
Well, it was a significant piece of legislation for Centerville, the town of Centerville. It really was, and for Queen Anne's County. And we're very proud of that. And we've worked closely with the city of Centerville this past fall for their rollout, which was January 1st. And we're literally, as we speak, getting ready to conduct what we call shopper surveys, where we get volunteers to visit the different grocery stores in the county and collect data on how the rollout is going. So that information then will be shared with our Queen Anne's County commissioners and also go towards a larger pool of similar data that goes statewide.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing some of that with us. Plastic QAC, man, they are on the ground doing plastic free. Sorry, plastic free Q. I will get this eventually, probably by the end of this episode.
Well, we hope so.
Amen. If I can transition though for a second, because we brought you here to talk about a specific program. And so, as you know, Shantelle and I, as well as the whole Mako team, we did a tour of QAC and we saw some incredible things last week.
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Queen Anne's County has the fastest growing economy in the state. So quick round of applause for you guys. Congratulations. Yep. Beth, you're working very hard, clearly.
Yes.
Awesome.
We actually have, I just got some updated numbers from our economic development folks, and we're at 2.4% unemployment rate as of March.
Wow.
And we have the second largest gross domestic product growth, and at 4.8% from 2022. And we're the sixth fastest growing county in population in Maryland. And those are all just three indicators we look at for economic growth. So we're doing really, really well here.
So for those of you listening, Queen Anne's County is booming. So we love to hear it.
Congrats for Queen Anne's County.
Yeah. And a big part of that boom is the boating industry, whether that's, fishing or recreational. Sara was just telling us about how they just did the fishing line recycling, but that's also a very seasonal industry by its nature. And so part of the reason that we asked Beth and Sara to come on was to talk about some cool stuff they're doing around, wait for it, boat shrink wrap. And if you are not a boat person like I am, you will be surprised to know that yes, you do shrink wrap your boats. So clearly I'm a land lover, so you're going to have to walk me through this a little slowly, but tell us a little bit more about this boat shrink wrap and what you're doing and all the exciting stuff going on.
So, we have in Queen Anne's County approximately 23 marinas. And we are home to more than 5,000 recreational boats. Annually, nearly half of these vessels undergo winterizing using single-use plastic shrink wrap. And it's made of a non-biodegradable material, low-density polyethylene, more commonly known as LDPE. And cumulatively, Queen Anne's County generates around 30 tons of plastic waste each year just from boat shrink wrap alone. So in 2019, the Marine Trade Association of Maryland, which we refer to as MTAM, they introduced a statewide boat shrink wrap recycling program. And their process, their recycling, they guarantee recycling. And their process involves collecting and recycling the wraps through spring pickups. And it's a practice that will divert that wrap from landfills. So each bag is sold for $15. And the bag itself is actually made from recycled plastic. And so a boat owner or a marina would then take off the wrap and what we call clean it. They'd remove all zippers, ties, windows, doors, all of that, neatly fold it, roll it up, stuff it in the bag. And then that bag is picked up at the end of the season, which this year is going to be around May 15th. And then MTAM will transport it to a baler where they're all baled and then transport it to the recycler. So all of that is done through MTAM. Yeah, so we were very excited last year to launch for the first time ever a countywide program. And this came out of a need in our county. I mean, in the winter, all you have to do is drive around Queen Anne's County and you see this white plastic wrap everywhere because there's a lot of boats. And so we just started out, and I already knew her. So we started out, we had several meetings. She was the acting director of MTAM. We also included our county transfer station director, and the three of us had conversations about how we could make this work. We knew we needed a dumpster in our area for the deposit of those bags if we were going to get a large amount.
Right.
And so there were all kinds of conversations. We basically came up with a proposal that we then sent to the commissioners. And previously, in 2022, I had a meeting with Phil Duminol, one of our commissioners, about the problem. And this was before I knew about the shift in MTAM. And he immediately expressed interest in making this happen. And I have to give him full credit for this program, because without his investment in making this happen, we would not be here today talking to you. So, last year was more or less a pilot program where the commissioners subsidized bags, 213 bags to be exact. And they were distributed to 5 different marinas, boat sale companies, detailing companies. And then we had University of Maryland interns over the summer who did follow-up surveys about how the program worked. So we were able to see how to improve. And this year we started early. Last year it was by the very quick, remember, and Beth was also instrumental in her press releases and social media posts, all of that, to really get it launched. We also had one store, West Marine in Chester, that MTAM was willing to allow them to sell the bags to individual boat owners. Previously, they were only sold to marinas in bulk. So this was another huge step for our county. Everything went so well. At the end of the season, we saved 1.62 tons of shrink wrap from going to the landfill in our first year.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was great. It was great. We learned a lot. We saved a lot. It was wonderful. So we started.
I'm curious, Sarah. So you're saving all this. You're reducing 1.62 tons. What actually happens then with the recycled plastic? Do you know what products then it can be used into? Is it just making more recycling wrap?
Yes, and that's part of what we did this year. Is we created a fact sheet to answer questions like that. So yeah, the wrap then is repurposed, because again, MTAM guarantees that it's sold to or it's distributed to companies that repurpose it either into the Trek decking.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a product that unfortunately doesn't always make its way back to the manufacturer, like the fishing line does, because they need it to be clean. Obviously, it's a much bigger product. But it's repurposed into whatever the market. It just is also a very seasonal commodity. So, but in general, it tends to end up as park benches and decking, things that, we don't realize how much of the products that we have around our homes and different businesses are much more durable, made from recycled plastic. So yes, so that's it in a nutshell. Then this year we started early. We got additional funding from the commissioners. This year they were able to provide funding for 300 and 33 bags. Is that right, Beth? Does that sound
I
about
believe
right?
so. I just remember the number. It was about, I
Yeah.
think, 4,000 that they
Yes.
committed to the program. But they
Wow.
said, if we needed more, that,
Yeah.
just to let them know. They wanted to make sure it was available for both, not just the marinos who we sort of targeted last year. They wanted to make sure it was also available to residents. So last year, the residents had to pay for bags last year. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
But the
correct.
marinas, it was free. And so this year we wanted to expand it. And so with Commissioner Duminal's help, we were able to fund it. So anyone that has shrink wrap in the county, if they want to recycle it, they get a free bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was 1.62 tons last year. Now that you're expanding it, do you have like an approximate tonnage you're aiming for this year?
Well, our goal was to double it.
Okay.
Been told that from the director of MTAM that these kinds of campaigns sort of move slowly. So, but I can tell you that we are ahead of the curve from last year. One thing that we did, we wanted to make it really easy for individual boat owners to get their bags this year, especially since they were free. And so we had 4 different stores or 4 different locations that distributed the bags. So, but the reality is that the marinas, have a lot larger numbers. So I think all in all, if all those people, I know I had to replenish, I had to go from one location and replenish bags at West Marine a couple weeks ago. They had already given out all 50 of their bags. And so if everybody really, in fact, uses their bags, we'll definitely have a larger draw this year. And that dumpster, I had somebody go we monitor. Our organization is on the ground, literally monitoring the dumpster. We want to make sure that nobody's using it for trash. And if it is, we climb in and take it out. And but it is almost full. It is close to being full now. And as the weather gets warmer, it's probably going to just really, we're right on the cusp of getting that dumpster picked up and maybe a second delivered. We'll see.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask before we went any further, just kind of take it back a little bit. Beth, I've been doing before this whole thing happened, I Googled for myself what boat plastic shrink wrap was. Like, why are we shrink wrapping boats? I don't know if you wanted to explain it to listeners. I got my answer from Google, but it would be nice for us to just kind of tell people why this is something that happens.
Well, I am like Dom, and I am a land person.
You're also a landlubber.
I get incredibly seasick. So I did grow up here on the Eastern Shore, but I get so incredibly seasick. I do not spend much time on boats, but I know that it's to keep the debris off of them and to keep them clean and safe throughout the winter is my understanding. I don't know if
Yes.
Sarah, if you know of any additional.
Well, it is a relatively new practice. And it used to be that boat owners would winterize their boats with a canvas or some kind of a reusable cover, and many still do.
Okay.
However, it's when the boats are shipped from the factory, they're shrink wrapped. They're in shrink wrap, and it's a padded. It's not unfortunately a recyclable shrink wrap. It has a little liner on it to keep it safe.
Right.
So it's hard to know. I'm not a boat owner either, but I know a lot about shrink wrap, and I can tell you that it's just sort of it's become the common practice. And for the life of it, we can't figure out. I mean, it costs a lot of money to shrink wrap.
Shrink wrap. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap. And then some resourceful people will repurpose it. You see that more with individual boat owners who are wrapping it at their home, not so much in marinas.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and so it becomes it is an industry in and of itself. I can tell you that it's It's very much, you have boat detailers that do it. You have some marinas that provide the service themselves. It varies tremendously from marina to marina. And so MTAM also does a campaign in the fall called Think Before You Shrink.
Okay.
And is to promote reusable covers.
Okay.
So my hope is that this year we can really get started on launching that. We've always done a little campaigning around that, but we'll see.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I'm curious now to kind of pivot this conversation because we had touched on a few of the stakeholders involved in this program. I know you mentioned Marine Trade Association of Maryland. Of course, Queen Anne's County Department of Public Works is involved. But Beth, I'm wondering if you could talk to us a little bit more about any of the other stakeholders and how you guys were able to bring everyone together.
Sure. So, like Sara mentioned, the Marine Trade Association of Maryland is really, the owners of this program, and we just kind of enhanced it to make it work for Queen Anne's County. But we really couldn't have done it without the support from our elected officials, our Queen Anne's County commissioners, especially Commissioner Dominic. And, by them sponsoring the bags, in addition to promoting the program and being so supportive of it, I mean, I really think that that's the, why we've been so successful. And like Sara mentioned before, we started out with the Recycling the Fishing Line program, and that's kind of where we almost found this sort of model of working with our nonprofits, our private businesses, and county government. And being in a small area like that, it really takes a village. So, it's a great model for all of us to be working together to make this great program. The stores that we leverage for partnerships, I have to hand it to Sara because her group herself and her group, they were really boots on the street, going out to all of these stores, talking out the programs and getting support. So we had, West Marine, we had Brommel's, Ace Hardware in Stevensville, Refill Goodness, which really focuses on reusable products. And then to get further north in the county, the town of Centerville actually had the bags in their town hall. So
wow.
we met. It was great. We met on a regular basis. It was like a huge combination of county, state, and private industry and nonprofits. And I can't even. I don't want to forget the marinas and the retail places that also partnered and helped promote it. So we would put something out on social media, and we would tag all of these different places on our social media, and then they in hand would then share the content as well. And it helped promote their business. And so it was just a really great relationship that, we started with the fishing line and just keep continuing. So.
Yeah, I love to see that. Love to hear it.
So I'm very excited about this program, and I know the results aren't in yet. I think you said May 15th is the last day. Your goal is to double and get it over 3 tons this year. Can you give us like a little preview of how you think progress has gone so far this year compared to last year? Have you seen an uptick in the amount that you're recycling?
Well, what I can say in terms of progress is that I've heard from MTAM that in Anne Arundel County, they're moving in the direction of duplicating what we've done in Queen Anne's County. They just need to find an organization similar to us, and I know that's in the works. But the good news is that they have 2 West Marine stores, and they're both selling the bags. So they're not being offered for free, but they're selling the bags. So that expansion is happening. I think that, more this year, we hired a social media person to really focus on promoting this campaign. So in addition to all that Beth does, and Beth does an amazing job from that level, but like she said, we share it, and then we also cross promote and all of that. My hope is that moving forward in the future, we can just do a little bit more of the education, helping. I think I mentioned how we had a fact sheet this year. So because the bags were free, we had a QR code. And at the time of someone picking up a bag at the store, they go to the QR code that would open up to the fact sheet that answered common questions. Then
Right.
we had a video, the video from MTAM, and written description about how you clean the wrap once it comes off, how you bag it, all of that. So at this point, my thought is really to expand this program in the county. We need, if we go forward in 2025, to do more outreach and education. I know that we just got some rack cards printed because Shore Rivers is a very large, well-established nonprofit in Easton. And they have river keepers for all of the rivers on the eastern seaboard, the eastern Chesapeake Bay. Anyway, we work closely with them too, but they are making visits to all the marinas, or as many, I don't know, all 23, but many marinas in our county. And they wanted to take our rack cards to help spread the word that this program is in operation. So, we're, as Beth said, we're not a hugely populated county, but there's still lots of room for growth in terms of outreach and education. We want everybody to know, every boat owner to know that this program, not only that it's available, but what it, why recycle? What's the benefit of that? And if you don't recycle, you've got to drive your wrap all the way to our Ridgely landfill, which is 45 minutes away. So it's kind of a no-brainer. We see it as a no-brainer. You save money on gas and drop-off fees and all of that.
The incentive is there.
Yes, but it's a behavior change, and behavior change is always a challenge.
Sorry.
But I was gonna say, if I can just ask one last question, Beth. So, you are kind of at the nexus between government and the public because you're dealing with the nonprofits, you're dealing with the elected officials. Do you have any words of wisdom or thoughts for a nonprofit in another county wanting to do this, or an elected official or a county kind of wanting to replicate this? I know Anne Arundel's looking at it. As someone in government, what do you think?
I think that you can really take this program and translate it to really any program that you want to accomplish. If you have something that you would like to accomplish, whether you're the government or you're the nonprofit, by partnering together, you really can strengthen the forces and really get these huge projects done. And it's just really beneficial to have all aspects, all viewpoints. There's certain things that Sara can do as a nonprofit that I'm more limited in as government, but being able to partner up, we can just accomplish really great things.
Awesome. Well, we hope for more partnerships in the future. For Beth and Sara, thank you both for coming on. Hands down, I have to say, of all of our boat shrink wrap episodes, this was probably the best one yet.
The best one. Yeah, I have to agree.
Before we close, I do need to do a little plug for our upcoming 2024 Mako Summer Conference, #MakoCon. It will be August 14th through the 17th at the Roland Powell Convention Center in sunny Ocean City, Maryland. Registration is opened, and you can find all of the information on our website, mdcounties.org, or in our show notes. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this very special episode of the Conduit Street Podcast. As always, our podcast, please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. That way you get all of these episodes delivered directly to the device of your choice. Also, please feel free to send us a 5-star review, whether you like the episode or not. You can also you can also follow along on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, the one and only Conduit Street blog. So for Shantelle, Beth, Sara, this is Dom signing off, and we will talk to you soon.